Welcome back to the Operation Freedom YouTube channel. What we do here is shine the light of truth on the deep state. They hate that. We do it figuratively with our presentations. We do it literally with our sponsor's product, PatriotLegacy.com. PatriotLegacy.com, featured product of theirs, the Patriot Beacon. 6 overall lighting functions. In addition, solar powered, don't need batteries. You can charge your other devices like your phone from it. In addition, you got a compass, you got a window breaking hammer, and you got a seatbelt cutter. Plus, if those deep state dweebs get just a little bit too close to you, blast them with this. They're gone. Go to patrioticlegacy.com, patrioticlegacy.com. Get yourself, your kids, your grandkids, your car. Can carry it with you anytime. patrioticlegacy.com, the Patriot Beacon. Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to Operation Freedom Briefings. The goal of these briefings and my weekly radio show, Operation Freedom, is to provide you information the bought-off lamestream fake media will not present. You can join me on the radio show. It's free, every Sunday from 2 to 5 Eastern. All you have to do is go to davejanda.com, right in the middle toward the top of the homepage, listen live, hit it. Great guests, great analysis, great information. We're there for you every Sunday from 2 to 5 Eastern. Today's topic is on the FISA court. Yeah, that benevolent group of 11 judges that, well, is just looking out for your best interests and to keep you safe. Right. Today's topic is on the how the FISA court is complicit in the illegal surveillance of President Trump and you and me and millions of other Americans. A little background on the FISA court. The Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA Act, went into effect in 1978. That was under Jimmy Carter. The FISA court that oversees the surveillance, supposedly legal, of our adversaries, of potential foreign terrorists. The judges that oversee, there are 11 judges. They are appointed by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. That would be John Justice Roberts. The head judge of the FISA court since May of 2016 has been Rosemary Collyer. The FISA court went under the looking glass, magnifying glass, of the Inspector General of the Department of Justice, Michael Horowitz. In his report that he released in December of 2019, and as I've said before, I have been involved in healthcare policy initiatives and reviewing healthcare legislation, programs, protocols, reviews, agencies that I've been involved with since I first went to Washington in 1988 when Ronald Reagan was president. That report that the Department of Justice Inspector General Michael Horowitz issued in December of 2019, I've never read a more devastating report to a federal agency or a federal entity. In this case, the Department of Justice, the FBI, and it also brought into question the role of the FISA court. The FISA court is up for review in March of 2020. I believe, based on the Inspector General's report, the FISA court should be terminated. But prior to that, I believe all 11 of these judges and the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, John Roberts, should be brought into an open congressional hearing. They should be sworn in under oath, and they need to be asked some very difficult questions based on the information I'm going to provide you today. Now, there is nobody that I frankly trust in Congress to ask the right questions to get to the bottom of this. I consider Sidney Powell a friend of mine. He's a phenomenal attorney with a phenomenal track record as a federal appeals prosecutor. I believe Sidney Powell should be brought in to ask the questions under oath of these 11 judges and Roberts. Will they do that? No. They won't. Because this would blow the whole thing up. I believe the FISA court is yet another tentacle of the deep state. And I'm going to show you why. This from an anonymous attorney and a journalist, Technofrog, about the FISA court. The FISA court refuses review of FBI deception. This week, presiding Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court Judge Rosemary Collier released 2 stern orders taking the FBI to task for its repeated failures, omissions, and misrepresentations in its application and subsequent renewals to surveil Carter Page. And while one FBI employee has received a criminal referral, that'd be Kleinsmith, and remember, he changed the emails that fraudulently led to information being put in the FISA applications. For doctoring evidence in the scheme to defraud the court, key players with oversight responsibilities under penalty of perjury have been given a pass. Judge Collier's December 17, 2019 order, written after the publication of Inspector General Michael Horowitz's long-awaited report on FISA abuse, emphasized the role the FBI plays when it makes its assessment on whether probable cause exists to a warrant. In particular, the FISA court requires the FBI agent swearing to the application fully and accurately provide, quote, information in its possession that is material to whether probable cause exists, end quote. Collier, the head FISA court judge, was like, we had no idea that this was occurring with the FBI, and, well, we've been misled. She doth protest too much. In stunning public rebuke, FISA court slams the FBI, says it's worried about other warrants. The Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act court slammed the FBI on December 17th in a rare public statement over the agency's handling of former Trump campaign aide Carter Page's warrant applications and subsequent renewals. Quote, in order to appreciate the seriousness of that misconduct and its implications, it is useful to understand certain procedural and substantive requirements that apply to the government's conduct of electronic surveillance for foreign intelligence purposes, end quote, reads the statement. The punchline, quote, the FBI's handling of the Carter Page applications as portrayed in the Inspector General's report was anti-ethical to the heightened duty of candor, end quote, required by federal investigators, adding, quote, the frequency with which representations made by FBI personnel turned out to be unsupported or contradicted by information in their possession, and with which they withheld information detrimental to their case, calls into question whether information contained in other FBI applications is reliable. The General Flynn case, for example? Quote, wrote the court, which called the recent watchdog report from the Department of Inspector General's office, quote, troubling, end quote. Here's the interesting point. They're acting like this is new news. We had no idea that the FBI was doing this. Devin Nunes in February of 2018 sent Collier and the FISA court letters about the fraud that was being perpetrated at the FBI and how it was committing that fraud and bringing false information to the FISA court in February of 2018. And what did Collier respond? Quote, no action needed. Trust the executive branch, end quote. In other words, hey, Devin, shut up. The FBI is fine. The Department of Justice is fine. The executive branch is fine. Leave it alone. Don't bother us with this. And then on December 17th, she's acting like, oh, we're outraged. We were lied to. Did anyone ever ask the question, did the judges, when this information presented to them, hey, who's this Steele guy? Who does he work for? Is he reliable? What's his track record? Wait a minute. This information that Carter Page doesn't work for this, has that been confirmed? Come on. These 11 judges are acting like they're little bumpkins on a log. They're complicit in this. And it stinks to high heaven. Well, it's interesting. All of a sudden, on December 20th, 2019, guess who resigns from the court? Oh, Rosemary Collier, the head FISA court judge. Why? Because of, quote, health reasons. Okay. So what happens next? Oh, enter Judge Judas Roberts. He says, well, since she's leaving, I have to appoint somebody else to be the head FISA court judge, and he chose a guy by the name of Boasberg. Oh, what about Boasberg? Oh, he's an Obama appointee. The same Obama who was involved in illegal surveillance activities with Clapper and Brennan. The same Obama who was integral in this fake Russian hoax narrative. Yeah, that Obama. And then Boasberg, on January 10th, 2020, appointed a, quote, counsel to review the FBI reforms. And he appointed this guy, David Kris, K-R-I-S. Well, who's he? He's an Obama-appointed national security leader, in quotes, at the Department of Justice. The same national security division that approved and knew what was happening with the FISA abuse and did nothing about it. And in fact, when you look at tweets from Kris, this David Kris character who's been now put in the position of counsel to review FBI reforms, he was talking about how, well, Trump's going down and well, you know, this Nunes guy is off the reservation. It's conspiracy theory what he's talking about the FISA abuse situation. And this is the guy they put in there. And to compound matters, Wray, the head of the FBI, what was he going to do about, well, all this criminality at the FBI, what they did in this whole FISA abuse problem that Horowitz uncovered? Wray announced on January 10th, the FBI director has issued a training video to the FBI employees for oversight response to the Carter Page abuse. I'm not making this up. This is such a joke. Wray is putting out a video on this criminal abuse that occurred on the FBI saying, hey, don't do this anymore. Okay, let's move on. Collier, who, you're going to hear about her in a second, who was aware in 2018, and it gets worse from there, from Devin Nunes about the FBI abuse, said, trust the executive branch. Go away, Devin. Goodbye. Go. Forget it. Now is acting outraged. Next thing you know, she's resigning. And then Judas Roberts puts this Boasberg Obama appointee in there. And then he names this Kris guy for appointed counsel to review the FBI reforms when, and let's give you a little evidence on this. This is from Zero Hedge. A ridiculous choice. FISA court sparks firestorm, appoints conflicted anti-Trump attorney to oversee the FBI fixes. Actually, here, President Trump actually weighed in. Quote, "You can't make this up. David Criss, a highly controversial former Department of Justice official, National Security Division, that was involved in the FISA abuse issue, was just appointed by the FISA court to oversee reforms to the FBI surveillance procedures. Zero credibility. The swamp. I think he's being kind." Cheryl Atkinson weighed in. Reports that the FISA court posted an order naming anti-Trump attorney David Criss to assist the court in assessing the FBI's response to the court-ordered cleanup of lapses and abuses identified by Department of Justice Inspector General Michael Horowitz. Horowitz testified the FISA surveillance process needs to be fixed from, quote, "bottom to top." To some, the appointment of Criss is as mysterious as why the FISA court judges failed to flag the FBI abuses on their own. Good point. Made it earlier. In social media posts, this David Criss character has called Republican Congressman Devin Nunes a politicized, dishonest intelligence community overseer who attempts to mislead, end quote. No, he just pointed out the truth and the facts that the deep state didn't want out. He tweeted that Trump and his advisors should be, quote, "worried that the walls are closing in on him regarding the Mueller probe." Oh, was he right on that? Criss also brought into the now disproven conspiracy theory about Trump colluding with Russia and Putin. But even more importantly, since that time, Criss has advocated for President Trump's removal. Criss's vocal opinions on President Trump and politics present numerous obvious conflicts of interest. And that is, well, that's pretty mellow statement.